ett kungahus, det är samma kungahus det ser ut som slags en kobrogåta. Ja. Det där är märkligt, det håller jag med. Faktiskt, det låter jättekonstigt. Ja. Faktiskt. Det där är konstigt. Och upptrappningen är ju rätt uppenbar nu. Tonläget höjs. Å ena sidan och å andra sidan så. Nej. Så det verkar på något vis att det måste gå en viss takt och en viss sträcka för att det här ska materialiseras som tanke.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train my day, Joe Rogan Podcast my day, all day. All right, I'm rolling. What's happening? Nice to meet you.
Oh, hey man, it's awesome to be here, man. Hey, like I gotta say hi to my son is just so thrilled. He's like, he's 15 and he literally freaked out. He's like, oh my god, and all of his friends are gonna definitely
What's his
watch
name?
it too. Yeah.
What's his name?
Carl with a K, and I met a Carl in the lobby, but it's a C, but
That's not a human, a non-human Carl. Yeah. Well, what's up, human Carl?
Yeah.
So, first of all, are you the only guy that figured out that you don't have to wear suits when you're a senator?
Yeah, no, it's I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, are you the only guy that figured out that you don't have to wear suits as a senator?
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I know it seems strange, but it's like, I mean, I'm a bigger guy, and I don't really can't afford custom anyway, and I'm claustrophobic, and I hate them being in that kind of shit, and I've always dressed like shit, and and I know, and then that whole thing kind of got away of us. People assumed that there was a dress code issue there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I wasn't behind that. But of course, everybody pointed at the just as like a slob, and then the whole nation just had like a meltdown, like, oh my god, the Senate's on fire because I dress like a slob. But my life is just much better in D.C. That unless that I'm going to be on the floor, that I'm not going to be. You're never going to see me in a suit, and I think that's a more authentic kind of way that I live. And I don't judge anybody on how they dress or those things. I just dress this way, and there's also practical issues as well too. Like I have chopstick legs, and I have no ass, and I can't keep pants up. and hoodies, it's like I don't have to iron that shit. So it's just like easy, it's comfort, and it's like I just feel like that's. I mean, and if somebody judged me, and people have said that. But it's like I'd rather have somebody know, and I promise you, a lot of people and dudes, and especially in Western Pennsylvania, love to wear suits all year. I mean, shorts all year, and dress like that. But to me, it's about comfort and practical.
Well, I mean, it makes the whole dress code thing of wearing suits and you're more serious because you have certain clothing on. It seems silly.
Sorry, what's that?
Are you so? Let's tell everybody what's going on with your iPad. So because you had a stroke, you have difficulty. Do you have difficulty hearing or?
Well, no, I can hear just perfectly right now, but there's just the one kind of a lingering issue. There's a lingering issue. And sometimes I lose just a couple steps on time. And then now, after that, that's the only thing. And thankfully, the stroke never touched my intellect. Thanks. But the stroke nearly killed me. And I don't. But I use captioning in situations just like.
And then he actually used it, and then we're going to show you a clip about what Putin did in Russia to kind of stand off. And yesterday, while we're in Orlando, I'm driving around talking to a few people. It's interesting how the people who are from Russia, who voted for Trump, this lady told me something that was very interesting I've not heard before. I'll share that with you guys. There's a bunch of other things that's going on story-wise. The NFL officially has no issues with players doing the Trump dance. Is it becoming now okay to say you're a Trump voter? That was not the case 8 years ago, not 4 years ago, not 2 years ago, not 6 months ago. But it is today. In regards to mass deportation, Trump confirmed plans to use military to assist in mass deportation. LA City and schools make themselves migrant sanctuaries. Wild. When they were asking for a minimum wage raise to $18, they voted no to it. They voted no to it, which is kind of interesting on those two issues going back and forth. And then we'll talk about what's going on with Russia, the challenges that they're facing with Ukraine. We'll address that. We'll address what Macron told them. We'll address the Putin allows no response to U.S. missiles as he signs off on World War III escalation. Sunny had a rough week with The View, where she had to come out and read something that if you've ever seen anybody miserable when they're having to read something, she's the best example of it. I don't think you've ever seen anybody more miserable having to do a job than this lady.
Whoopi threw her under the bus, made her do it.
Well, no, that's a producer. Let's wait for the podcast. Let's wait for the podcast. Tom is so excited when the whole crew's here together because Adam, I'm convinced Tom missed you, Lily. I'm convinced. When you were in DC yesterday and the liberals didn't want to let you go, I'm convinced Tom is secretly in love with you. Matt Gaetz.
I've had a lot of coffee and we're really ready to go.
Yeah. Matt Gaetz, we got to talk about Matt Gaetz. There's a lot of things that's coming up with Matt Gaetz. A great clip by Josh Hawley that Rob's got ready for us to play here in a few minutes, and some clips that maybe are different kind of clips for folks that want to see him be taken down. Elon Musk, Brazil's first lady, said F you to Elon Musk, creates political firestorms. And then CNN's Harry Enton marvels at just how much Elon Musk is actually winning despite declining popularity and exodus from X. By the way, the new Time magazine's cover just came out. Rob, if you can get that prepared to show, you should see what's in there. Elon has a checklist with his Time magazine. It's actually a pretty good checklist. FYI, if I told you CNN and MSNBC, if I told you one company that beat those guys, if there's one company that you would never guess, what if I told you Hallmark? Yes, Hallmark beats CNN and MSNBC viewers.
Hallmark?
Last week, folks, Hallmark. What are we talking about?
What are they playing?
It's pretty bad over there, and there's a clip. You guys got to watch this clip by Bill O'Reilly with Chris Cuomo and Stephen A. Smith, and Tom's got some numbers he's going to reveal to us that I even haven't seen yet. which I'm looking forward to sharing with everybody, including myself. Business stories. The soft skills crisis. 1 in 4 executives wouldn't even think of hiring an entry-level Gen Z grad today. That's Fortune magazine. California, I talked about the minimum wage. Tariffs, check this out. Target stock drops nearly 20%. That's $10 billion they lost in a day. That's Target. Walmart, they're talking about how the tariffs could probably cause Walmart price hikes. That's a Forbes story. And then Ford to cut 14% of the European jobs, blaming EV shift and rising competition. And then Howard Lutnick says the most incredible thing breaking down the tariffs that you have to see. We'll show that to you. WAPO, that's owned by Bezos. Bezos comes out and says, listen guys, either come back to the office or send in your letter of resignation. And if you don't want to come back to the office, I'm okay with that, go to Glassdoor, because Glassdoor CEO said, we kind of like hiring people that don't work from home. So guess what? WAPO, you guys have a place to go work. It's called Glassdoor. The CEO doesn't have any problem with it. You guys can go over there. And last but not least, we got to show Jen calling the election, you know, the king of choosing elections. What's his name? Lichtman, who's been on the program. Nice guy. I like him. But it's so entertaining with Pierce to see what they said. Don't call me stupid. You got to see it. It's just blasphemy. And last but not least, this is one thing that I'm a little bit concerned about showing it to you. But you know, I have to. 2 other things before I get to that. NVIDIA doubles revenue on strong AI. Laken Riley killer sentence to life. We're going to show the clip, and Vinny's got a lot of updates on that. And last but not least, I'm worried about showing this commercial because it may motivate you and persuade you to never buy Jaguar for the rest of your life. Jaguar tried to do a commercial like the Apple commercial from 1984, the LGBTQ style, and they failed miserably, which we'll show to you here in a minute. However, before we get into it, let me tell you what's going on right now. Guys, Tom, Rob, if you can play that clip, even this guy here, we are excited about the Christmas season being here. The former presidential candidate that was running, Kamala, said the following thing about Christmas, and I want to tell you what happened with this hat here. Rob, play this clip.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
Wow. Well, guess what? We're saying Merry Christmas again.
So check this out. For this Christmas season, value team, we sat there, our team agreed, we're going to come out with Merry Christmas gear. Both. FYI, we launched these 3 hats, okay, last week. These 3 hats, limited numbers that we launched, just to see how the market was going to react to it. Do you know which one sold out within seconds? This was gone in no time. There were people that bought 10 of these at a time, okay, this was gone. Right now, we have 16, 17 of these left. If nothing's been ordered right now, they can order. Rob, if you can go to vtmerch.com, specifically the Christmas season gear, if you can go there. There's some interesting scripture in the middle of these hats. For those of you that are going to church, you're going to like the scripture that's in here. If you order it, you'll see it. We have a ton of Christmas gear. Future looks bright, Christmas gear. Yesterday, I was in Orlando, walking around, looking at a couple events to possibly do an event in the future. And you know what was amazing? I saw folks wearing the Valuetainment Future Looks Bright here, running up. PVD Future Looks Bright. I love seeing taking pictures, videos with them. I have in my phone right now probably 100 pictures of folks that are posting Valuetainment gear, Future Looks Bright, with kids, with families, voting, all of it. Anybody that places an order right now of the Christmas gear, you will get a free, what do you call it, ornament sent to you. So during Christmas, on your seat, you will have one of the best Christmas trees in the world because it's going to have the Future Looks Bright red ornament on it. So go place your gear, order specifically what you're going to be tradition style. You got the LG sweater, you got also some stuff for your kids. Baby as well. I'm going to start off with
example.
Ukraine. We'll have
no question about it.
So Ukraine reported using the longer range missile for the first time to blow up Russian weapons facilities as Putin issues nuclear warning to America. And Robert, if you have the clip, is this the clip of Ukraine attacking Russia?
This is Russia using the ICBM.
They say it looks like, and mind you, I worked at Montana ICBM missile attack. This is what it would look like at night. They're saying that he's doing it to show a forest with no, obviously, nothing, no warhead on it.
Regulate any stealing of his property. We're damn good too. But you can't be any geek off the street.
That noise?
I'm telling people.
Men seriöst, vi inte.
Where is this?
Vara amor.
Nuclear bomb.
If it was a nuclear warhead, that first wave, this guy would have felt the impact of his gun.
That's this thing. And then you have Putin comes down. That's wild, man. Putin comes down. These are the ones that nighttime are? Yeah, that's big football. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. How it looks like it's a this is just fast. This is the fast forward part of it. That's what they would look like, guys. When that type of stuff is happening, it's like. So while this is going on, we hear Putin allows nuke response to U.S. missile as he signs off on World War III escalation. What does that mean? He signs off on World War III escalation. Let me read it to you. So Putin updated Russia's nuclear doctrine to permit nuclear retaliation against the West if Ukraine fires long-range missiles into Russian territory, leading to Kremlin's Dmitry Peskov confirmed that targeted aggression with the use of conventional weapons following the U.S. approval for Ukraine to use these weapons 190 miles. Peskov warned that this policy reserves the right to use nuclear weapons and marks a significant escalation in the conflict. What else do you know about the story?
Here's the thing. Let's not thinking about the timing. How many more days does Joe Biden have?
20 in January, 31 in December, and about 8 right now.
Okay, it was his birthday yesterday. He's 82 years old. 60 days left, okay? And let's be honest. First, he is not making any decisions. Every headline that we see about Biden did this, Biden did that, let's all agree it's not Joe Biden, okay? And let's remember, the Biden administration started this war. They knew Russia would invade. They were publicly push Zelensky to join NATO. Let's all be completely honest. That's what they all want. The left and a lot of these Republicans on the right. And let's not forget a January 9th, Biden addressed, that address that he was on, he said, if Russia, he said Russia will be held accountable if it invades. And it depends on what it does. If it's one thing, if it's a minor incursion, it won't really do anything. This is Joe Biden inviting Russia to invade Ukraine, okay? And then he basically attacked them and like openly talking about expanding NATO. So I wanted to ask you guys, right now, I'm gonna pick somewhere. China wanted to build set up shop in Mexico. What would you do? I'm just asking you guys. What would you do if they claim and like, hey, listen, we're going to Mexico, we're going to put up a couple of,
I mean, like Cuban Missile Crisis.
That's what I'm
Kennedy said, get the crap out of Cuba.
yeah, and what almost happened?
Well, yeah, we almost launched missiles like the war, but they banned and we put the missiles out of touch.
Yeah, and here's the problem. We're not even able to hear what Russia is saying because remember, the EU banned the platform of Russian media. RT News and Sputnik, we can't even see what they're saying. They pulled out all the way that we can communicate or even talk about.
So this guy, send me a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, and he's leaning towards the Ukraine argument. Here's what he's saying, okay? And Tom, I'm going to go to the U.S. Embassy closing this year, and I want to get your thoughts on that as well here in a minute, but I want you to see what this guy said. Here's what this guy, I want to offer a different perspective on the situation in Ukraine. After the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991, Ukraine inherited a large portion of its nuclear arsenal, making it the third largest nuclear power at the time. Think about it. That's 33 years ago. Ukraine was number 3. Dismantle its nuclear arsenal in exchange for security assurances from Russia, the U.S., and the UK. Formalized in the Budapest memorandum, the process was sponsored by the U.S. under President Bill Clinton. Imagine being the way to get up your guns on the promise of protecting your danger rises. Later, they're going to start shooting at you, and you're only given chance to protect your yard, not yourself. Now Russia strikes Ukraine weekly with hundreds of guns and rockets, targeting civilians and all cities, causing massive casualties. Is this a business deal? How important do you think the ethical aspects of such an agreement would be, and how would you handle this situation? Tom?
Well, you know, it was Russia, the U.S., and UK, I think, that were at the end of World War II, that were sitting there talking about Germany. Remember that? There's the three of them sitting there. And then later, you know, Russia broke ranks and Germany the Berlin Wall and everything with it. So there is something to be said here, is that there was a treaty that was put in place when there was a couple things that happened. One, you know, suddenly the U.S. and U.S. proxies in NATO were trying to get the Ukraine to join, and then Russia, who's in the treaty, goes, whoa, wait a minute, we have this treaty here. I told you I didn't want Ukraine in NATO. Russia has never wavered on not wanting Ukraine to be part of NATO. I thought we had a treaty here. So Russia feels that the West instigated NATO and pissed them off. The West is saying, dude, after the Soviet Union, you're just trying to rebuild everything back together. You're trying to put Hudson together again. And you want Crimea specifically, you want the access to the Black Sea, and all this. And so, in terms of a business deal, it's like people on both sides messed with it, but then Russia went and got active on a military basis. They started, like, not just lawsuits, they like went after it.
What's your position on what he said, this message that he sent?
Pat, this is where I'm coming from.
I think it's...
I know, I think stay on this point, what he's saying. So what he's saying is, this is important, because through some of the Ukraine, the other day I'm in a car in Orlando yesterday, we're driving, the driver's Russian, and I'm trying to kind of get a feel. I said, hey, do you work for the guys here? So I said, I can't really openly talk to my employees about what we're thinking about doing with the events here. He said, I totally understand. I said, so where are you from, Russia? When did you leave 25 years ago? How's the situation? My brother's still living there. What happened when you came here? My husband and I are here, our family's here. When's the last time you went to Russia? I haven't gone for 25 years. How do you feel about Putin? He says, I love Putin 2 years ago. Everybody hates Putin right now in Russia. Why is that? Everyone's afraid of him. Why are they afraid of him? Because he's become a dictator. So I'm thinking this girl is going to be a pro-Ukraine liberal type of person. I said, so how do you feel about Trump? He says, well, I don't have to talk to you. We love him. I said, who loves him? He says, everybody in Russia loves Trump. I said, well, so let me get this straight. Russians right now are upset with Putin, but they love Trump? Yes. Why? He says, imagine if your kids died for a war that you don't want to be a part of, and there's a guy that can come and stop the war. So the position he's taken, she was a pro-Trump, anti-Putin, because they just want people to stop dying. What an interesting perspective. This is a reasonable person we're talking to, right? But this guy is saying, hey man, what the hell? We made a deal in 1991, 33 years ago. We gave you everything. We were number 3 in the world. We could have been a force to be reckoned with. And now you're attacking us? What's that all about? What do you say to that? What did you say that's attacking us? He's saying now we're defending, we're okay with Russia attacking Ukraine, and you're allowing that the war happen. Why is Russia attacking Ukraine? Their job was to defend us because we gave all our nuclear weapons. I have an argument. I want to know what you think.
I honestly,
okay. Adam, what would you say to that?
So, you don't need to play the video, just it'll be important for the images. I was just in Washington, D.C. It was the 1,000th day anniversary, so to speak, of the Ukrainian war. And I said, listen, I have this opportunity to speak with Ukrainian soldiers in front of the White House. Let me see the right? So I speak with this guy, and I have the other video as well. Interviewing actual soldiers. One of the guys had a grenade going off, he's in a wheelchair. There's American flags, there's Ukrainian flags. I'm like, hey guys, I just want to ask you guys some questions, see what you guys are going on here. Here's my biggest takeaway from this. I believe that Donald Trump has the ability to win a Nobel Peace Prize if he can understand. And he said on record that stop the war and possibly before he even takes office, right? He said that. By the way,
Bosse Jonsson är på G, vad menar du med det då? Vad är han på G till då?
he won a Nobel Peace Prize? A month? I think it was 270 days. I think it was like immediately after he took office. Now Tom knows this ridiculous number. It was 9 months into him taking office. Yeah. 9 months. Yeah. And he won
Hey,
it
Gandalf.
on the inspiration. Not because he did anything per se, because he was an inspiring hope. So it was a big speech at the Berlin Wall. There it was. So some of his accomplishments were he was strengthening international diplomacy. Some may say he was doing an apology tour for America, right? He was encouraging nuclear disarmament, even though it didn't necessarily begin at that point. And he was, again, renewing the climate of hope. So he came in with this hope and change, but nothing necessarily is manufactured. But it's now officially the 1000th day. I think we're in
What are you saying to
1001.
this guy? We were on this topic.
So here's
What's
my
your
point.
with this guy?
After interviewing this guy, I said, what do you think should happen in the war? And he was the spokesperson. He goes, Putin is Hitler. This whole talking point. I'm like, Putin is Hitler? That's what you're giving me? And I said, a lot of people in America have heard this about Trump. Trump's Hitler. The whole Hitler thing, it's being watered down and it's basically being marginalized. Hitler killed 6 million Jews.
Adam, what is the point with this guy saying the fact that, stay on this point, you just went 3 topics that we could have gone.
I didn't really necessarily know what this guy's point is. I have a point though.
But no, it's your point on this point. I'll come back to
What would
you.
you like me to respond to exactly?
You didn't hear anything I said?
I
I read it twice.
I did.
Okay, so what do you have to say about what the guy said?
I think that I don't even know what this guy said.
Okay, so then hang tight, I'll come back to you on the point you're making. I understand the point you were trying to make about nuclear, what do you call it, the Nobel Prize for him to get because of what he could do. I agree.
Why is this guy's point so important?
The reason why, because there is a split where some people are like, well, you know, are you okay with this happening, et cetera, et cetera. This happened at a different time that the negotiation took place, in 91. Putin's sitting there saying, that was your mistake. Why would you even do that in the first place? You should have never given it up. You gave it up for exchange. That was your bad negotiation. So if you had a leader that negotiated in a weak way for your country, you pay a price for that. You voted for that person. You guys chose to give that up. You didn't have to give it up, right? You didn't have to do that. And then at the same side, when some of the Ukrainians are like, well, you know, what do you want them to do? Well, gradually, these guys have been getting closer and closer to NATO, so both ways promises are not being kept. If your promise was you're not going to go be part of NATO, and now you're pursuing it, and then they're going to be like, if you're not holding the end of the bargain of you not even getting close to NATO, you are getting close to NATO, you are getting close to all these guys, anything we ever negotiated in the past is over with. Anything we negotiated in the past is over with. That's the point with what this guy is saying. He's saying that it's not fair what took place. 1, you had a bad deal. 2, once you don't keep the end of your bargain, you're right, you lose all of it. However, while this is taking place, Tom, what kind of a sign is it when U.S. closes embassy in Kiev over potential significant air attacks as tensions with Russia? So, Rob, I think you have this clip here on what they're saying. If you want to play this clip, go for it.
Has announced it's closing its embassy in Kiev today and instructing employees there to shelter. That's after receiving what it describes as specific information of a potentially significant air attack. Well, overnight, Ukraine's military says Kiev's air defense units were deployed in defense of the city. Witnesses told the Reuters news agency that they heard multiple blasts.
Okay, so that's happening. Escalation's happening. World War III. He's dropping bombs to tell you, if I had a warhead in there, I would destroy you. All of this is going on simultaneously. Trump, I believe he said somewhere that I may have to go to Russia now to stop it. By the way, if he goes and stops this war, Ukraine-Russia, if he goes and stops everything that's going on with Israel, and if he does, the idea that he deserves a Nobel Prize would be a what? An understatement. You make a very good point if he does that. I mean, that is arguably...
Ja, han är lite mer sko.
Who would disagree? But Tom, what is the process of Nobel Prize? If he's able to do that, who nominates? Because most of the Nobel winners are on the line.
Ja.
Yeah, exactly. The Nobel Prizes, you can go look this up, are given through an arcane nomination process, and they go into a back room and they decide who they're going to give it to. And the Nobel Peace Prize is basically a political football. And, you know, you look around the world at people that have really caused peace, And you have Obama made a couple speeches as soon as he was inaugurated in '09. Oh my goodness, we give it to, for fostering an environment of peace. He didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. Remember, Jimmy Carter actually got, Menachem Begin and Anwar Sadat, correct?
Yeah,
to come to Camp David for a week and to hash it out. So for all the things that Jimmy Carter did to the economy, there's somebody actually doing something. Now it's a backroom deal. It's like, it doesn't have a lot of credibility with the mainstream populace because they look at it and said, this is a liberal think tank that just hands them out. Now the medicine ones and the mathematical ones are a little more quantitative, like, did you really do something? But the Nobel Peace Prize is like, you today I look at it and say, you get to be king of the liberal think tank. That's what it meant. Is that you were in line with the liberal think tank, you said some nice things, did some things, here's your Peace Prize.
And going back to what you asked, when you're closing an embassy, that means it's about to go down, Pat. That means it's about to happen. And the fact that, I was on the show the other day, they're like, oh, Putin's already threatened nuclear war before. It's at a point right now, especially with this administration, that just wants a war. I don't know why a lot of people out there aren't getting it. They're like, no, he's done this before. I don't care about the threats. You don't play around with somebody that's talking about this type of escalation this fast. And we know Anthony Blinken is in front of the camera going, hey, we gotta hurry up and send $8 billion of our dollars to them before January.
Per Roger är alltid gott.
They want a war with this guy. I don't think that.
All available appropriations left in 2024. We need to use them.
Yeah, you think Putin is kind of just jokingly threatening nukes?
Well, let me tell you, Macron called him and said, hey, don't do anything, man. Hang tight. And I'm telling you right now, Trump is the only guy that he's willing to negotiate with because he believes Trump's going to keep the deal. By the way, Brandon just sent me this year, going back to telling you a little bit about history. 1990, Gorbachev accepted Germany's reunification and its continued membership in NATO under the explicit condition that NATO would not expand past Germany.
Okay.
Past Germany. U.S. Secretary of State James Baker read a book on this guy's phenomenal, interesting guy, hated by some, loved by some, but definitely respected. German Chancellor Helmut Kohl, Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher made verbal assurances to Soviet leader Gorbachev that in February 1990, Baker famously told him that NATO would move not 1 inch eastward beyond Germany.